You're listening to ESQ Resource Radio on the Bets on Media Network.
Good morning. This is Frank Lopo, your host of the ESQ Resource Radio Show. And I just want to welcome everyone to the show. We are going to get our guest, Kelsa Dickey, here with us momentarily, but just give you a little bio on Kelsa. She's the owner and financial coach behind Fiscal Fitness Phoenix, located in Tempe. And she's been helping people better manage their money over 11 years and helped over 1,000 individuals, couples, and entrepreneurs. Just a little bit of background. She started when she was a middle schooler when she witnessed her mother filing bankruptcy. She learned at a young age that money impacts our lives, sometimes in good ways and sometimes not in a good way. When she was a senior in high school, a college recruiter came to her high school and asked, "What do you want to do when you're older?" And she replied she wanted to help people with their money. She wanted to get a bachelor's degree in finance and a master's in business admin. In the last 6 months of 2014, her clients paid off an astounding $464,000 worth of debt while saving over $486,000. And she's the only Valley's personal trainer for your money. So with that, welcome to the show. We will get Kelsa online here in just a second.
Thank you for calling Fiscal Fitness. This is Kelsa.
Well, just the person we're looking for. Kelsa, this is Frank Lopo. How are you?
That was probably you. Hi, good morning.
Good morning. We've given everybody just a short bio on who you are and what Fiscal Fitness of Phoenix is, and pretty amazing little background story there with, as most kids do witness their parents from a financial standpoint, the ups and downs of that, and just to see how it had impact on your life. That's pretty exceptional as you moved on through life and helping other folks. And then when you show the amounts of what you save people, and then also what you've helped them save, to me, that's always the most incredible piece of what's saved versus the other piece of that. So
Right.
thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, great. We'll just
asking me to be on.
No problem. We'd just like to, in our series of helping folks with, their money situation, and just give us a little bit of a, just an overview of how you help folks and what's some of the most common questions you get asked by people as they come in and meet with you, and maybe even share a little bit of what's the fear that prohibits people from even engaging someone like yourself.
Oh God, that's like a 3-part question there, Frank.
Yes.
I would say the fear comes from this idea that I am going to think somebody is dumb for the decisions that they've made in the past, or that they feel stupid, that they don't know what they're doing with their money, and they're afraid to have somebody look at it and sort of critique them. And I know that putting yourself out there and showing somebody your financial situation is really tough. I would say the analogy that I always sort of try to give people is, we all have those things that we're really good at and those things that we're probably not so good at. My thing is that I'm not a very good cook. So who wants to see me in a kitchen, and I'm out of that is not necessarily always a good thing. So, if I were to go to somebody who's a really good chef and I would come in with this, can you help me be a better cook? It's unlikely that person is going to consider me stupid or dumb or think that I'm less of a person because I'm just not a good cook. So when people come to me and ask me for help with money, I'm not really sure why, but it has always been that thing that I've been good at. I've been very good at breaking it down into small steps for people so that it's manageable for them. And so people shouldn't feel stupid coming to me and asking me for help. I don't think that they're any less of a person for needing help with this, because there's probably a number of things that they do really well that I could get their help with. And
Right.
It doesn't make me any less of a person either.
Well,
and then the things that, oh, go ahead.
Well, it's also, it's really not about your judgment of them. It's just your willingness to help them through the process, right?
Yeah, exactly. My take is that I am not trying to get clients to do things with their money that I want them to do with it. This is not my money. I'm not out there making it for them. They're out there working really hard for it. It is not my life that I'm trying to get them to live. They tell me what their goals are. They tell me what they want to do with their money and what's important to them. And it is my job to hold them accountable to that. So, and I think that's the key piece. Your question is, what is it that I offer clients? Not only do I teach people how to manage it, but I essentially hold them accountable to doing what they say they want to do with it, which is a big part of it, because there's somebody that they have to sort of report into on, well, why did their priorities, all of a sudden get out of whack a little bit over the last week when maybe they went into a spending frenzy or something like that. And so just having that person that you is going to ask you those questions forces you to ask yourself those questions when you're in the heat of the moment. So when you're out shopping, knowing that someone's going to be looking over your shoulder as soon as during your next appointment, forces them to ask themselves the question anyway.
Right. Okay. Well, great. And that's and that's excellent, because again, I think that that's a big leap for people to, as you say, just like, when you look at yourself and your shortcomings and areas you need help, it doesn't seem to be, as the analogy you use with cooking, nobody would ever question that and say, they would think you're smart for doing that and going and finding somebody to help you learn how to cook. It just seems when it comes to money, it's always that internalization of it, that you should know better and you should have all these answers, when in reality, you really haven't been given very many of those skills all through your life, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we're faced with temptation. I mean, we're constantly needing to fight this battle of commercials and propaganda and things for sale around us, and seeing other people do things with their money that we want to do too. So it's this constant struggle of trying to make the right decision when we're faced with the opposite choice day after day.
Okay.
And then, I would say too, when it comes to, I think another fear people have is that they're going to be my worst client ever, or that their situation is so bad that it's the worst I've ever seen and there's no hope for them. And my worst clients have nothing to do with how much debt they have, how much, how little or great their income is. It's really never a financial thing for me. I've got clients with, as you know, Frank, a couple $100,000 worth of debt. I've got clients who make very low income. I've got clients who make a wonderful income. It really doesn't have anything to do with the financial part of it. It really has to do with a person's perspective when they're coming into it, and do they want to get out of it? So are they driven? Do they want to make changes? Do they see themselves trying to make better decisions going forward? Are they willing to learn new ways of doing things? Are they willing to try new things? Are they open-minded? Are they positive? And a lot of the clients that come in, you would describe them as very positive people, but underlying that, or sort of behind the scenes, they're very stressed about money. So they come across as very positive people, and you think they kind of have all their stuff figured out.
Right.
And then, but really in the back of their mind, they're really stressed or worrying about, oh my God, what am I doing with my money?
No question. Like we always tell our clients when we lay out the debt recovery program, and they throw out their number that they've got 40,000 or 60,000 or whatever that number is, I always tell them, you're not the winner. That if that was your fear in life, that you were going to have the most debt of anybody I've ever met, there's somebody always in a different situation than you from that standpoint. And and again, I think as we like I say, we internalize that. It's something we don't share with other people because of ego, guilt, embarrassment, all those mixed things. And I always try to let our clients know that it's not a personal reflection of who you are. It's the situation you find yourself in. What's really going to determine is what you do next. That's what you got to really consider and work at. And then they, at that point, get a sense of ease of moving forward versus just being overwhelmed in that whole situation they find themselves in. So let's talk a little bit about what's the and especially for our audience, being it's a military audience, what challenges are unique to those in the military that you see?
First of all, I want to take a minute to say thank you for serving in the military. For those who do, I realize that I get to live my life a certain way because of them, so I appreciate them very much. Military personnel have very unique challenges, and if you think about it, they're moving around continuously, or at least more often than most of us. They tend to move from state to state or that kind of thing. So,
right.
and And I know a lot of that, sometimes people would say, well, some of that's covered by the military. You're not paying housing. We can all use justifications on why that's not so hard. But think about things like pay for your car registration. How that works is different by state. How much you pay is different by state. Your utility that you pay, some cities do it one way, another city does it another way. Your due dates are continuously changing on your bills. And that, maybe you're changing what bank you use because of that. You're moving from one city and now all of a sudden the new city doesn't have your bank, or, whatever the case may be. And this continuous change happens in the sense that it makes it very difficult to put a system in place of, this is how I always manage my money or budget my money based on every paycheck, because those bills and the timing of things are continuously changing.
Right.
And it makes it really hard to kind of grasp on and say, I'm in control of this, when you can only control it for so long and then it changes. Just about when you feel like you get control over it, it changes again.
Right. Well, and that's a great point, because again, they bring some unique situations to, what some of us, don't ever see from that standpoint. And that is, just trying to find your way through that process. And it's good to have, a sounding board, or in your case, a coach to help you kind of acknowledge that and work through that, versus getting overwhelmed by it and making some not better choices, I guess, is what we would say.
Yeah, because what tends to happen is, people, when they feel out of control with their money, or that something happened that they forgot about or they didn't plan for, is they tend to just kind of throw their hands up and say, well, this happened, so now what else matters? It doesn't matter anymore. I'm already over budget, or this is already happening without me thinking about it. So I'm already made a mistake. So now what else matters?
Right.
You kind of throw your hands up, and I don't want to say give up, but you just kind of concede that it's not going to go perfectly. And if you're continuously in that sense of change, then it very easily lends itself to feeling like that all the time.
Right. And then also we have as consumers, a false sense of other people are looking out for us. I mean, that's always one of the things, having a 26-year-old and a 22-year-old son, that, I always try to get them to list the questions you want answers to, whether it be a job or a situation, so you're clear on what the answer is, versus I think a lot of times in those situations where somebody gets moved around, some of that stuff just gets glazed over, and there's assumption something's going to be taken care of. And then they find out at the end of the day, that's not. And it becomes a surprise expense for them that they have to account for, that they weren't planning on. But it really starts with, maybe setting up a situation where you're asking all those right questions. And I know my wife does that to me all the time when, I'm asking her, giving her a rundown of something, and did you ask this? Did you ask that? And, you just think, well, I didn't ask those questions. But if you just take a second and do a little preparation prior to a meeting or getting some questions answered, that you can at least get a better base for what's going to be covered, especially in a move like that. That's a big thing for people.
Well, and you, instead of looking at it as, oh, this happened and I didn't plan for it, so I did wrong, saying, well, I'm going to make a mental note of this. This isn't the only time I'm going to move. So the next time I move, I don't want to forget about that next time. Or you kind of use it as, every time I do this, I'm going to be better and better at it.
Right.
And then eventually I'm just going to be so good at it that nothing slips through the cracks.
Right.
And then the other tip that I would say is sort of plan for the worst, always overestimate expenses. So if you're going to move and you don't really know how much you might need for utilities, or if they're going to charge you to turn on a utility or something, then plan for it. Because if you end up not needing it, then now you just have some extra money that you weren't expecting, where don't not plan for it and hope for that, and then find out that you do need it, and then you just feel like, now I don't have the money for that.
Sure. And speaking of that, what are some of the other simple things a person can do to get better control of their money?
One of the best things a person can do is switch to cash, especially in a time of change. And what I mean by that is for all of your day-to-day spending. So whether that's groceries, eating out, stopping for coffee, maybe you go to the gas station, get an energy drink in the morning or something like that. This is all the expenses that we sort of nickel and dime ourselves. Decide every paycheck how much money you want to spend for that, and just take it out in cash on that payday. And then that is your amount to use for the next 2 weeks or until the next paycheck comes in. And that way there's not this continuous stream of money going on your debit card, which nobody really keeps track of that anymore. I would say this is that category where most people have no idea how much they spend on groceries or eating out or just their miscellaneous spending. They really don't have an idea of what that number looks like, but yet most people have convinced themselves that they're spending too much. So I hear all the time, oh, I spend too much on eating out, or oh, I probably spend way too much on groceries, and yet they really don't know what that number is. So here people are beating themselves up over something that they're kind of guessing on anyway. So by switching to cash, it's amazing to me how it's one of the hardest things I ask my clients to do, but it's by far has the quickest and the biggest impact, in the sense that as soon as you switch to cash, you feel more in control. You spend less almost immediately because you now have this feeling of this money is actually going out, as opposed to it just, swiping a debit or a credit card, which doesn't really relate to money in a lot of people's mind.
Right.
The other thing is that it makes it visual. So if you have $200 and you're seeing it dwindle and you still have a week left to go before you get paid again, it now forces you, instead of kind of guessing in your head, I wonder how much I spent, or do I have money left, or that kind of thing. It's now a very visual thing. It becomes black and white. This is how much money I have, and I've got this much time left, so I need to spread it out.
Right. And so you make better choices in how you spend that money, and the debit card becomes the thought process is how long till I get another paycheck in there to cover those expenses, type of a thing from that
and
standpoint.
Especially for a husband and wife, or a couple that shares money, what I find a lot of couples are in this debate continuously about who put what on the debit card.
Right.
And that's kind of a toxic conversation, because it probably doesn't really matter. It's just that we're both spending out of the same bucket, and I look at it and I see a certain amount, so I think I can spend, X amount, and my spouse is looking at it and thinking he can spend a certain amount, and then we're both spending out of it. So
Right.
if we each have our own cash, it doesn't really matter what my spouse does with his cash. I'm not trying to, control him. It's just we need to have a better idea of who's spending what. And if we both have our cash, it eliminates that toxic conversation of who put what on the debit card.
Right. Well, and in eliminating that, one person becoming the parent to the other. You know what? I had parents, and that's why I don't live with those people, because they gave me, $40 a week to live on. So, and a lot of people fall into that trap where one person has to be responsible, and it's somewhat unfair, but you see that a lot, to where, couples get caught up in that, to where, hey, somebody has to be the grown up, and just that feeling and all that stuff. So this is great stuff. Really appreciate you sharing with the audience. And I think too, the other piece of that I don't know you hear enough about is just your bedside manner with things, that you're very open and friendly, and your desire to help is far outweighs you're willing to criticize people, in the sense of, how did you find yourself in this mess? It's just really refreshing to, be able to talk to somebody from that standpoint, that's looking to help the folks, rather than here's what your problem is. It's and as you said, it's really up to them to make those choices. It's just you now become that accountability person that they have to then think in terms of, oh, what's Kels going to say in our next meeting, type thing. And it's not that you're going to beat them up.
Yeah,
or
and, I really don't. It's not that I don't talk about it or I don't care, because I do want to discuss what led to the situation that a person is in. But what I have found is the majority of the time, it wasn't one thing, or
Right.
It wasn't two very specific things. It just sort of got that way over a course of a couple of years, and they just didn't know how to get themselves out of it. And I don't really want to keep focusing on that, because I feel like they're in my office for a reason, because they want to do something different. They want to feel better about their money. They want to learn how to make better decisions with it and prevent that from happening again. And that's really all I care about. So it's like, okay, let's focus on the future. Let's figure out what we can do with the money you have today and what we want to do with it going forward. And there's nothing we can do to change the past. There's nothing we can do to undo where the money was spent before and all that kind of stuff. So why bother rehashing it when all it does is, probably make a person feel guilty. And especially if it's a husband and wife, or a couple, that could very quickly lead to pointing fingers at each other. And
Sure.
either way, we're in this situation. Are we in it together to get out of it? And that's really all I want to focus on.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take a break here. And before we do that, Kelsey, why don't you go ahead and give out your contact information so anybody out there that would like to just touch base with you to see if there's an opportunity that you can help them out, they have a way to do that.
Yeah, thank you. So my phone number is 480-788-4588, or you can go on my website and check things out there and get some more information, which is fiscalfitnessaz.com. It's FISCAL fitnessaz.com.
All right. We're going to take a break here and we'll be back right after these messages.
Would you like to own a thriving business and help employ local veterans? The Vetraplex Handyman Construction and Landscape business is the opportunity you've been waiting for. The Vetraplex is your gateway to an affordable startup business with 0% financing for qualifying owners. By owning a Vetraplex franchise, you will be hiring veterans, providing them both income and opportunity, while at the same time providing your customers a way to say, thank you for your service to our nation's veterans. For more information, visit vetraplex.org. Again, that's vetraplex.org or call 928-284-2022.
Breaker 19. How about that bandit? You got some ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs hosts over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face-to-face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
You're listening to ESQ Resource Radio on the Vets On Media Network.
Welcome back to the ESQ Resource Radio Show with our guest today, Kelsey Dickey of Fiscal Fitness, Arizona. And Fiscal is all about the financial aspect of fitness that plays into it. And I'm sure, Kelsey, at this point in time, first of the year, you're getting a lot of people that are, their New Year's resolution is not only to get healthy physically, but also fiscally. You're getting a lot of folks coming to you from that standpoint.
Absolutely. It's definitely a busy time of year, but I love that. People come in and they're feeling motivated to make some changes, which I think is great.
Right.
I always relate what I do very similarly to a personal trainer for fitness, a person's health and fitness. I actually say that I'm a personal trainer for your money. I think that they're very related in the sense that, a personal trainer sort of challenges you and stretches you. They don't just kind of give you a list of things to do and then send you on your way and say, okay, good luck, and I'll see you in a month. And my approach with money is very similar to the sense that I meet with my clients often, usually once a week. We're making changes. I'm stretching them past those a little bit. I'm checking in with them continuously to see how they're doing with those changes, because if something doesn't work for them, I want to change it up again. If there's something that they just don't feel comfortable doing,
Right.
I don't believe money is a one-size-fits-all thing, just like fitness is not a one-size-fits-all thing. So, if something's not working for a client, then we can very easily change it. And so I want to know about it as soon as possible.
Right. It's just doing that interaction and feedback. And, as you said, that when you're struggling with something, there may be another way to accomplish what they need to do that they're better at doing versus here's what's worked or here's what I would suggest to you. So, and that's really what it takes in this whole process, especially financially. And you're exactly right with the health aspect of it. That I'm very much a contrarian. So if you tell me I can't do it, then that's automatically going to force me to show you that I can do it. So
Right.
I'm pretty easy to move around from that standpoint. It's just that matter of finding some of the things that here's how you motivate this individual, or here's what the trigger points are, and it's just one of those things to where it's gosh, Frank, you probably couldn't save, $200 this month. And yeah, you're just not equipped to do that. And, I would love nothing better in 30 days to say, not only did I save $200, but here's $250. So I can do that. And gee,
yeah, and I do the same thing. I can usually show a client, okay, at the end of the month, you are earmarked to have, $75 left. And I want it to be 200. And,
Right.
we brainstorm ways of doing that. And I say, here's all the different ideas of ways that you can come up with money. Pick a few of them, but I want this to be 200 at the end of the month. And that's sort of the idea of a personal trainer. If you're doing 10-pound weights, eventually they're going to force you to go to 15,
right.
and then they're going to force you to do 20. And it's about the cumulative effects of making these small changes and continuously challenging yourself to be better with your money. And I think maybe the hardest thing that the hardest part of my job is just the patience factor. So
Right.
a client comes in and then overnight they want their financial situation to just be, immediately resolved or better, and they want to be 100% in control of their money. But it takes baby steps, just like losing 50 pounds is not going to happen overnight. It takes all of these things that you have to put in place, and you have to do them consistently in order to, all of a sudden overnight you look back and you're like, wow, I'm doing this, and I kind of forgot that I was doing it because now it's just so easy. It's just ingrained in me. Now it's just habit. And now this is just the way that I live my life.
Sure. And the reality is, in that time aspect of it, it's rapid. It's quicker than you think it is. And you just have to keep that in mind. But you're exactly right that we're in a society and in a consumer driven market where everything is now that I want to be out of debt, and I want all this taken care of, and I want it done now. And you think, well, that's not realistic. That's not reality. Here's reality, and here's your situation. And it's not going to be easy necessarily, and it's going to take some work. But at the end, you're going to enjoy the benefits of what you've learned and how you do it. So down the road, you won't have to go back and redo this type of thing. So let's.
I will ask my clients during their appointments, and they don't know that I'm writing their answers, but I'll kind of ask, what are you feeling? The first week, what are you thinking? How are you thinking this is going? And usually at first I hear things like, oh my God, this is so hard. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I'm cut out for this, and that kind of thing. And then I ask them that question continuously. And usually at the 30-day mark, when I ask it again, the answer becomes, oh my, I can totally do this. I'm so excited. I can see it now. I can see where this is all leading and that kind of thing, because they kind of have to have faith at first that they don't necessarily see the outcome of their changes right away,
Right.
but they just have to trust me that when I tell them, these are working, I promise these are working. And then what I do is I read back their answers to them.
Oh.
And I say, okay, I just want to remind you that a weekend, this is what you said. Do you remember when you said that? And they're like, oh my God, I do remember that. And I'm so glad I stuck with it. Or, wow, how much a month, how big of a difference 1 month can make,
Right.
in their perspective and then how they feel. And it's quite remarkable. I love it. I love what I do for sure. Because it's usually within about a month, they can see a huge difference.
Right. That 30-day, whatever that day is. I mean, for us in our business, it's when they offload, that that stress and issue onto us to let us manage and handle that debt load they have is when you see the change in the people, and they get excited and they're focusing on the right things versus the anchor they're trying to pull around, and hopefully it's going to fix itself, and it never does from that standpoint. So I could certainly relate to that. And then also let's talk a little bit about that. You know, I know in our world on the debt workout side of things, you know, it's always fascinating when you talk about that B word that most people hate to hear, and that's budget. And I know you have some ways of getting people, you know, as you talk about, this is not an exact fun topic for people of being on a budget. And a lot of times I get clients that their budget is their bank statement, their debit card, and they check their bank balance every day, and that's my budget. Okay, that's nice. It's not a budget.
Yeah, I don't even tell people that I do budgeting for the most part, because I feel like other people are going to run in the opposite direction.
Right.
Nobody, if you were to ask them, do you want to be on a budget? People don't say yes to that question. It sort of has this very negative connotation to it, which is that if I'm on a budget, I can't ever do anything that I want to do. I can't ever buy anything. She's going to tell me I have to cut my cable bill or those sorts of things. And I think they picture this, there's these TV shows, some of them are, from Canada, where they meet with a financial person, and that person takes like a big black marker and they just start crossing things out of their life that they can't, they can no longer do. And I think people imagine that they're going to come to me and that's what I do.
Right.
And I've never told somebody that they have to cut cable. My job is to sort of paint this picture of, here's exactly what your life looks like financially, and living like this. Here's your goal, maybe to save $10,000 for a down payment on a house, or to get out of debt, or whatever the case may be. And continuing to live like this, here's when you can expect to achieve that goal. Now, if we were to make a few changes here, here, and here, here's when you can achieve this goal. Or we could do it this way, and here's when we're going to achieve this goal. Ultimately, it's not my decision to make which sort of picture they choose, because again, they're the ones out living their life, not me.
Right.
But it's my job to paint the picture and ultimately show them all their options. And a lot of people just don't even see what their options are. And I have found most people come to me with the three common sort of challenges, which are debt or getting out of debt, that they have trouble saving money, or that they feel like their spending is not under control. What I have found is that no matter what a person comes to me with, any three of those are actually just symptoms of a very different problem that every person has, which is that money is not a visual thing. It is so hard to see how what I do today impacts me a paycheck from now, or what does this do for a goal that I have 3 months from now. Money is a very abstract thing in the sense that it's coming in and out all the time, and it's all over the place, and it's just so confusing that it's really hard for people to make good decisions because they don't even see how the decision is impacting them.
Right.
So my job is to show them the picture, to make money visual for them, to show them this clearly defined image of, when you spend today, this is exactly the impact it will have on you a paycheck from now, a month from now, or whenever you're supposed to be hitting this goal that you have. And now, is that worth it to you? Is making this decision today worth it, based on the impact it's going to have? And just by having the awareness there, what I have found is that is what allows people to make better decisions. It's not that they are making bad decisions because they're dumb. They're just not seeing the impact of it. And as soon as a person can see the impact of it, they immediately start making different decisions with their money. And then those decisions are what lead to either saving more money, getting out of debt, or just feeling more in control with their spending.
And do you think, just in my conspiracy world of thought, that by design, that's the way the banks want us as consumers to think, is money is not visual. It is that little piece of plastic, and there's plenty for everybody. Don't worry about it. Just keep living the life. That's my continual grind.
Yeah, well, and how many times, I one of the things I see people struggling with is, you look at your bank account and it might say that you have $1,000 in there, but if you've got 4 checks that haven't cleared yet, you don't really have $1,000. But of course, you're spending based on what your bank says.
Right.
So, and it's so hard to conceptualize. Nobody stops to say, well, I have $1,000 in there, but I've got these things that are about to clear. So really, this is how much I have. But, oh, by the way, I've got car repairs, medical bills, all these things that, are probably going to hit soon that I need to also take out of that $1,000. Nobody's doing those steps in their head. So it's kind of my job to train them on how to do that consistently.
Right. And it really, at the end of the day, it's your job to help them through that, but not your responsibility, because they can, at the end of the day, do whatever they choose to do. You're just, trying to help them recognize and identify, as we talk to people in, some of the financial classes we do, it's about not depriving yourself. It's just making choices that you're not making today, and looking at this thing, as you said, in a visual aspect of money is it's not like take your cable away or gosh, but it's really when you start looking at it and thinking, how much time do you spend in front of that TV that you're paying for this cable? And now, is it worth it? Now, is it something, or on the other side of that, is there an alternative that you can get the same thing you want at a better or a more valued price? So why would you do that instead of having cable if you can get a Netflix subscription for $9.99 a month and watch all the movies you want to watch, versus that's the reason you have cable, so you can watch movies?
Well, and I think that is sort of the benefit of what I do, is that what you just described is that a person doesn't realize, they think, well, it's just one bill though. They
Right.
just think, well, this is, and I don't get why that's not that big of an impact on my goal. And so that's why they don't cancel it. But if I can show them, okay, you're supposed to hit this target that you have, and you're going to hit it 6 months from now. But if you cut this, if you maybe reduce this and still, like I said, replace it with Netflix or whatever the case may be. And if you do these things, instead of hitting it 6 months from now, you can actually hit it in 4 months. Now, does that seem worth it to you?
Right.
And again, ultimately, that's their decision. But I think it comes to the cumulative effect of money, that people don't realize how little teeny changes, $20 here, $20 there, does impact their budget and their goals in a really big way. And it's kind of, you'll read articles that say you should always annualize your expenses to see if it's worth it to you. So you take a cable bill and you pay $100 a month. Well, that might not seem like a lot, but if you think about the fact that over the course of a year you pay $1,200, well, $1,200 is something that is worth looking at, where maybe $100 we sort of just bat an eye at,
Right.
And I think that's a good trait, but I think people are so sick of hearing or reading about that. I mean, it's everywhere. You can read that in every article that,
Sure.
any personal finance article out there. So people tend to just kind of skim over it. And instead of thinking about it over the course of a year, think about what that impact does to the timeline of achieving a goal. Maybe your goal is to buy a cabin or buy a boat, or, take a vacation with your family, pay down a credit card, have more to go towards the settlement or something like that. Whatever the goal is, take that number and say, well, now how much quicker could I hit that goal instead if I didn't have that? And that's the question that people need to be asking.
Right. And it may be just a temporary situation where, you cut your cable back for 6 months, and then once you get things under control, you can certainly always go back to it. One of my always is the cell phone bill that, you see the ads on television at night, and, get Sprint for $125 a month and unlimited. And I keep looking at my bill and it's $300 every month. I'm like, how does this work? How am I not getting that $125 unlimited? I'm paying $300 for unlimited. And it's just taking a look at those things and finding out, what else is in there that you're paying for that you shouldn't be paying for, or you don't need or don't use type of stuff. So there's a lot to be dug into, and we're getting ready to take another break here. So we'll take a break, but Kelsey, go ahead and give out your contact information one more time. And then when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about, talking in terms of what a couple can do when, one of the spouse is getting ready to be deployed, or maybe even coming back, and how that affects your finances. And maybe you can speak to that issue and where you can help folks with that as well.
Yeah, I would love to. My contact information, my phone number is 480-788-4588. And my website is fiscalfitnessaz.com.
All right. We will be right back after these messages. Thank you.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Breaker, 1-9. How about that bandit? You got some ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. If you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
If you or someone you know is looking for a new job or career, you need to visit the pros. National Career Fairs at ncfairs.com. National Career Fairs host over 300 career fairs a year nationwide. The events are free and give you the perfect chance to meet some of the top employers in your area face-to-face. To find the nearest career fair to you, visit ncfairs.com. Again, that's ncfairs.com. What are you waiting for?
Would you like to own a thriving business and help employ local veterans? The Vetraplex Handyman Construction and Landscape business is the opportunity you've been waiting for. The Vetraplex is your gateway to an affordable startup business with 0% financing for qualifying owners. By owning a Vetraplex franchise, you'll be hiring veterans, providing them both income and opportunity, while at the same time providing your customers a way to say, thank you for your service to our nation's veterans. For more information, visit vetraplex.org. Again, that's vetraplex.org or call 928-284-2022.
You're listening to ESQ Resource Radio on the Vets On Media Network.
Welcome back to the ESQ Resource Radio Show. I'm your host, Frank Lippo, and with us today is Kelsey Dickey with Fiscal Fit Arizona, and she's a financial fitness coach. Kelsey, you shared a lot of great information with us today, and as we talked right before the break about just respect as far as getting and even coming back from deployment, what are some of the things and areas where you think you can help folks, or they maybe need to, if anything, help themselves in identifying, different situations financially?
I can see, like I said, the three biggest challenges that a person has when they come to me are that they're in debt and they don't know how to get out of it, that they feel like they're overspending and they don't know how to get control over their spending, or they have trouble saving money. And so any of those three challenges, if a person feels like they struggle with those, I offer one session. My goal with the Eureka session is I don't want an introductory session, it's a full strategy session. The way it works is a person comes in, there's a bunch of work that they do before they come in. So we send them a bunch of worksheets and questionnaire, everything like that. So I do all of the information and data gathering before they even arrive. So if it's a 90-minute session, it's a full strategy session for 90 minutes. I don't have to ask a lot of questions. All that has already been done. And it's my job for that session to give them kind of on a silver platter. Here's exactly the changes I want you to make. This is exactly the things that I see that are holding you back. Here's the things that I see that you're doing right, and I want you to keep doing these things. And here's exactly what I want your situation and your behavior to look like going forward. So and then when they leave the office, they get a full report on exactly step by step exactly what I want them to do. And I'm a very action oriented person, so it's literally like step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this. So it's broken down in very manageable steps for them. And what I have found is people just need a plan of attack. They just need someone to show them the path, and then they go sprinting down that path. And that's what the Eureka session is for. Not everybody needs more than just the Eureka session. It's meant to give people everything that they need. And then if a person needs more than that, that's when they can client during what's called foundation package. And the idea there is all the things that we discussed during the Eureka session, they need some accountability with that. Or maybe they look at their list and they're like, yeah, this is great, but I know myself well enough that I'm not going to do these, making me do them. And that's where I become a personal trainer for their money. So we continuously, we actually make those changes during appointments. We're supposed to do savings during their session. We actually fill up their bank account. We transfer them with savings. We pay their bills. We do everything during the 1 hour that they're in our office, or, you know, sometimes I meet with clients online too. So that it's kind of like, you know, money is hard in the sense that we're also busy nowadays, and we've got, you know, we're pulled in a million different directions. And, you know, this is the 1 hour a week where you're supposed to dedicate towards your money when you're in my office. We're actually getting everything done so that when you leave, you kind of have this, that everything's taken care of for the next week. And then that's really the service for people who need some accountability, want a partner in sort of managing it and making the changes and navigating the growing pains that come along with that.
Excellent. And I'm assuming you find that when a client comes to you and because obviously, you know, this is a business for you and you're charging them a fee to do that, at the end of the day, there's significant savings that works in their favor, even having you as another, you know, bill they have to account for. And it just seems to make sense.
So I build my fee right into their budget. So if they become a client after the Eureka session, I mean, I've got reviews, and just especially like on Facebook, the people that have left reviews after the Eureka session, that I mean, the fee certainly pays for itself over and over and over again. And after that, the fee for the foundation package, which is 3 months long, is built right into their budget. It's one of those things where I design it to fit into that. And then it's sort of an investment, because if we're only meeting for 3 months, after that, you still have all these habits in place, and you now have this really solid foundation of saving money, paying down debt, budgeting in a really smart, simple way. And you do that for the rest of your life, but we're not meeting for the rest of your life. You know,
Right.
My job is to train my clients to do it on their own so that they don't need me. You know, I don't want to be a crutch to somebody. I want them to feel so empowered to do it on their own that, you know, eventually it's sort of this bittersweet moment for me when they're like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to meet next month.
Right.
You know, it's like I'm so happy, but at the same time, I miss my clients, because I sometimes go from meeting with them weekly to kind of sending them on their way.
Well, no question. And that's ultimately the goal for that, is to get them on their way. And then again, that they're so satisfied with the experience that they become a great referral source for you as far as new business opportunities and sharing with their family and friends. And also, you know, you look to do, I know, you know, like speaking engagements, whether it be to a group or to a church, just to kind of expose them to, here's what you do and here's how I can help you. So you're looking for those opportunities as well.
A corporate wellness program that I offer that where I can come in, and it's really specific to the organization. So if they want me to come in for a lunch meeting, or if they want to do a whole, 3-4 hour workshop, it really can be catered to exactly what they're looking for their employees. And it really is a workshop. It's not a sales pitch. I am very action oriented. So I go in there and I tell them exactly what I want them to do. Here's the changes that I think people should make. And it's really valuable. And I've gotten amazing feedback for that too. I'm actually going to Central Arizona College next week to give a presentation to all of their employees for like an in-service day that they're offering for their employees and teachers and staff and that sort of thing. So I can stress according to the American Psychological Association. So, and it affects productivity in the workplace a lot. It affects our profits and that sort of thing. If you have an employee that is concerned about how she's going to pay her mortgage, there's no doubt in my mind that that affects her personality when she's on the phone with somebody, how she relates to her coworkers, how focused she is on whatever task is in front of her, because if she's got this bigger concern in the back of her mind, that is absolutely going to affect her. So, we need to make sure that we're addressing that. And again, this is a topic where people don't ask for help. So here somebody might be struggling and not sure how they're going to make a mortgage payment or a car payment, which gets them to their work, and they're not telling anybody about it. They're not telling anybody that they have this fear.
Well, and that you're exactly right, because the productivity of the person and the stress level is right in front of them. And, that's what we see on our side is, their worst fear is they get a wage garnishment, and now, they think again, their employer is going to come to them, and now they're going to be looked at as a less than good employee because of their financial situation, when the reality is it's the reality of life, but it's really more the embarrassment and the exposure for the person that they have to deal with. And I think the more people become open about not that, everywhere you go and you tell people, here's how much I make and here's how much I spend, but just that comfort level of your money and your sense of it. And I think it stems from just our lack of understanding and education of money.
And I don't think people need to walk around and, say, have a number on their forehead of how much they're making by any means, or how much debt they have. But I wish people walked around with the sense of pride of, I have a budget because I'm in control of my money and I do really good things with it. I'm so proud of that.
Right.
Where again, budgeting, saying that you're on a budget is a bad thing, right? Oh my God, if you're on a budget, it must mean that you're broke or you're having money problems.
Right.
Where I find, some of my wealthiest clients have been on a budget or managed their money well for years, and they just want to do even more with it. And so being on a budget is not a bad thing, but it sort of has this stigma out there. And that's the one thing that I wish would sort of change. I'm on this mission to make it so that people shout from the rooftop that they're on a budget and that they're proud of that. That they know it doesn't mean that it's because they're bad with their money. If anything, it means I love my money and I want to do great things with it. It makes it so I can live a great life, and makes it so that I can, live according to what's important to me and what my value systems are.
No question. And that's, I always tell our clients that, I don't know everything about, people with money, but I know people with money have a budget that they know where their money is, just like you talk about, is they treat their money with, with some respect, in the sense that I don't want to be in this position. And a lot of times it takes going through a financial disaster to open your eyes to that fact of, having that sense, I'm not going to be here again in my life, and here's what I need to do to manage that and maintain that. So
yeah, it's definitely not about, managing your money for the sake of having more money is not the point, or saying that you should focus on money because it's the end all be all, or it makes you happier, because it doesn't. But I think, money, it's the game we're all forced to play, unfortunately. And it allows us to have a certain lifestyle that makes us happy. So whether that is, moving some things around so you can pay for a housekeeper, or, so it's one that frees up now your time, so that your time can go towards maybe being with your kids. Or if you've ever gone out to eat with your family, and instead of being present in that moment, you're thinking, oh my God, I can't believe how much we just spent. I don't know how I'm going to pay my car payment next month, or whatever the case may be. The reason that we should manage our money is so that we avoid that situation where we're not present in the situation or in our life because we're so worried about money.
Right. And I agree with that. So the good news is with what we've talked with Kelsey about today, and I've spoken to her at length in a conversation of having her back and maybe doing a series of these radio interviews. So for our audience, that we can be consistent, and this message can get out there on a more consistent basis. So having Kelsey back maybe once a quarter, and really just, targeting, just like you'd mentioned your Eureka session, of maybe spending some time or a segment on, the specifics of, what people, come to that meeting with, what they come away with, and then just continually trying to just create that awareness for folks that one, getting a grip on your finances is a great thing. And finding someone like Kelsey to help you do that is another, asset and a tool that you can utilize. And it's not to be something that makes you less than a good person because you have financial issues. Like I always tell people, the thing is, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to fix it? Because the one thing you need to recognize, the way it's working now may not be working. So you need to change it, and having a different set of eyes, to me, is always a great key, because we have that tendency to be open and listen to other people when they can point some things out to us. And it's not pointing them out from a standpoint that I can't believe you didn't see this, but here's what it is. Here's what I see with your budget, or with your spending habits, or with your goals, that it's not that you can't achieve them. It's just that in a time frame you think you want to get to, it's not really possible. But if you do it in 6 months versus 3 months, yeah, you can make that happen. And here's how you can do that. So it's really just being open and willing to speak about it with somebody that can help you with it. And I think Kelsa is going to be a great asset to what we're trying to do here with our ESQ Resource Radio show. And like I said, we're planning to have her back on a consistent basis, so the audience can get that benefit. And then also talking in the circles of the military aspect of things, because that's what's important to the audience is how is this impacting me? How's this affect me? When I was deployed, I was making X. Now that I'm back in the States, I'm making less. And how do I manage those kind of things? So there's a lot in this, and we're certainly going to continue that discussion. Fair enough?
Yeah, I think that would be wonderful.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to that. So we're about to wrap things up here. And Kelsa, we really appreciate you being on the show, and I look forward to having you back as a guest and a consistent guest, and as Adam and the group promote it, so we can make sure that the audience is aware that when you're going to be on next. But in the meantime, any question you have regarding your Fiscal Fitness, Kelsa, why don't you go ahead and give out your contact information one last time so that people can contact you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. My phone number is 480-788-4588, and I'm happy to talk with you over the phone just to see what questions you have and if there's something I can help you with. And my website is fiscalfitnessaz.com.
Well, thank you all very much. And as always, and as Kelsa reiterated, thank you for your service. We will talk to you next week.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight